here. I'd like to welcome everybody to the 21st Canton High School Athletic Hall of Fame. Before we get started, I'd like to ask everybody to please stand and join a celebrity, Mr. Terry Crandall, in singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare of bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Wow. If you want me, I'll take the microphone and drop it for you. Holy smokes. When they told me who's going to sing the national anthem, all they told me was Terry. And I'm like, holy smokes, I hope it's not Terry Tivridge, but I'm impressed. Brad's got a great story about you singing the national anthem at a lacrosse game. I'm going to save that for him. Great. Great crowd here tonight. I love to see people out there. I like to see former coaches and teachers and former Hall of Famers. I see Wayne Willett, Jerry Smilling back there, the Bolishes. I know Jerry Howard was going to be, I don't know if he's here now, but I love to see things like that. I want to mention a couple things. First of all, Canton has a new superintendent this year. We hired somebody in our own Golden Bear family, and it's nice to have somebody like him around. I wish he was here so we could give him a round of applause because he's a breath of fresh air. Oh, he is back there. Nice to have a Golden Bear walk around the halls, and we didn't have to even show him around. He knew all the good hiding places. Also, our Quackenbush Hall of Famer from last year just had some recent health issues with his heart, and he's back, and I'm glad to see him back in the house. Let's give him a round of applause. One last thing to note, one of our Hall of Famers, Anita Francis, was just inducted a couple weeks into the St. Lawrence Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Anita. To get the night started, we have three different individuals being honored tonight. Paul Wicks, John Filiaccio, Jeremy Filiaccio. The Filiaccio brothers are actually the 7th set of brothers to be inducted in the Hall of Fame in the last 21 years, joining the Grotto brothers, the Fays, the Nees, the Clarks, the Morleys, the Groshers, and the Coakleys. That's very impressive, and I always talk about this as a family award, and that's one of those proofs of that. We do have two sisters in the Hall of Fame, Anita and Brady Bizette, but only two, but I'm sure there's more to come. We also have three teams being inducted this year, the 1987 and 1988 boys lacrosse team, and the 1995-96 boys basketball team. I'm sure we're going to have a great night. The Hall of Fame committee does a lot of work and puts a lot of time in to make this happen. It's not an easy process. They gather names. They have many, many meetings. They do a lot of research, and I want to recognize them. And please hold your applause till the end. Dave Bradman, Alicia LaValle Wentworth, Dan Huntley, Bill Porter, Lyle Newman, Neil Riggs, Kathy Giglio, and Anita Francis Bizette do an awesome job. Let's give them a round of applause. If you've never been to one of these ceremonies, they're usually a good time. What we'll do is we'll have one person come up and give a presentation speech, and then somebody will give a short acceptance speech. Some of these acceptance speeches have been outstanding. Some have given us a great message. I will always remember a few. Chris Wells. If you know Wellesley, you know his speeches are awesome. John Clark, Paul Patterson, Jimmy Nee, the Grotto Brothers, Sue Golden, Jerry Smilligan, they've all given good ones. Last year, Art Quackenbush, Mark Simpson, and Meg McGovern were outstanding. And you know what? Kevin Race last year, I feel like his speech just got done. After we're all done, we'll walk down to the Bill Hayden Hall of Fame down by the gymnasium. If you haven't been here in a long time, before they put the gym on, then just go down where the old bus garage was. After that, then we'll go down to the deck side, we'll tell a few stories, some of them true, some of them not true, but we'll all have a good time down there. This is a special family award. Like I said, from the Filiatro Brothers, family award. Can you imagine how many suppers were missed from these guys? How many miles put on the family car? How many basketballs dribbled? How many skates were sharpened? How many lacrosse sticks that were strung? Yes, I can mention that sport. Dave, I know you're proud of me right there. Okay? It's unbelievable. And these guys, this is a family award. They're not going to tell you, but I'm going to tell you. You have to thank your family first. Our first inductee from the class of 1960 is Paul Wicks. His brother Frank Wicks is going to be doing the speaking for him. Frank?
I really appreciate being here. I was in the first class moving to school in 1954, graduated from 1957, but I read the St. Lawrence Plain Dealer every week since 1957. I always follow how Canton High School is doing sports. And so I really appreciate what you're doing here, and especially honoring my brother Paul.
Our next inductee from the class of 1989, John Filiatro. Presenting for him today is his head coach, Neil Riggs.
Before I get into the gist of the whole speech, the essence of what I want to say it now. Sometimes you get sidetracked, words don't come out right, whatever. But these two guys, John and Jeremy Filiatro, are two of the best kids I've ever coached in wrestling. They played soccer and so on, but I'm their coach, and it's an honor for me to be presenting both of them. We put them together for a reason. It's nice to have two brothers going at the same time, but as usual, Jeremy messed it up. John graduated in 1989, and I haven't seen him since then. It's like, I told him, John, it's like almost 30 years. And all I heard about, he got into RPI, he took a physical, and they discovered that he had a hole in his heart. I'm scratching my head, this is 29 years ago. Found out the hole in the heart was as big as a 50-cent piece. Scratch your head. What would have happened if you think of that? It didn't, thank God. Consequently, his body got used to not having a hole in his heart, and he grew. The lowest, highest, whatever, he was small. The most he wrestled was 119. I remember him at 98. You know, pound for pound, he was as tough as any kid can. But his body got used to being healthy. Now, instead of weighing 119, he weighs more than I do. We'll talk about Jeremy later. John, unfortunately, once again, has a hole in his heart due to the loss of his wife. John, our condolences. I hope the lessons you learn on the mat and on the athletic fields can get you through this tragic event. I know you've had support from friends, both sides of the family, and John now faces the challenge of being a single parent. Both John and Jeremy have values they share, and the values are family, academics, athletics, and in that order. He almost couldn't be here because he's involved in coaching his son in soccer. And he fixed the schedule, but he's got to leave right after the ceremony here, get in his car and drive 7 hours to Maine because he's got 4 soccer games tomorrow. That's a family commitment. And John, it was really nice connecting with you. Made me feel good. John has always excelled in school, high honors. Even his sister-in-law kind of made fun of that one. We'll talk about Jeremy later. He's also won leadership awards in his business and so on. As an athlete, John stood out. He won numerous all-northern events in all the sports, I think. His soccer team, his senior year, won the New York State tournament, and he was voted MVP. Wrestling, he won numerous tournaments, 2-time section champ. Lacrosse team, which is also going to be talked about today, was one of the best in New York State. One quick story before we're done. John was, and I heard some stories from his parents about what happened in soccer also. This story was told to me by a soccer official, and he said John was dribbling the ball, heading toward the score to score a goal, trying to, and he gets knocked on his butt. Legal hit, so on. John gets up, wipes himself off. Game goes on. All of a sudden, the kid that knocked him on his butt is on his butt. And the referee says, I don't know what happened, but John was grinning. Like I said, fierce competitor. John, gives me great pleasure to award this Hall of Fame plaque to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you to the committee and all the time and effort that everybody puts into this. And it really is appreciated, and this is special. So, I'll try to be short and brief here today, but I want to start thanking my parents. The countless hours trucking Jeremy and I to different wrestling tournaments and to all our practices, and just everything they did for us in support of our sports, even taking Jara to full day horse shows. We were thankful we had to go to those, but it represents a level of dedication that can be respected. And that's the foundation that we build on. So, my teams, I was blessed to be an athlete here at a time when we had incredible talent. One of those teams, lacrosse, is being honored here tonight. Bradzer was a fantastic coach, built a beautiful program here. I didn't pick up a lacrosse stick till I was in 8th grade. And we had guys like Tommy Ryan, Tim Wenrick, Corey, you're going to hear about Phil, Franz Klausner, Tim Gage, just great players that made you want to play the game and be a part of that team. And just amazing talent. I mean, it's hard to be around talent like that and not get better yourself. So I will save some of those stories because that's coming later. But in wrestling, again, amazing talent and an amazing coach. So like you heard from Mr. Ridge, you can tell how much he cares. That was the same dedication and commitment that he had for us as wrestlers. And it's special and it continues and it carries on. And I had the pleasure of wrestling with 5 years, a broad number of people on that team, from my brother to Mitch Clark to Jason Crosby and the Butler boys, and Dale Angus, and the list goes on, but incredibly talented people. And the only way in wrestling you get better is by having good wrestling partners. So they help you grow, they help you succeed, and you do it as a team. It was unfortunate to hear that they're not wrestling in the bomb shelter anymore. There was something about the bomb shelter. You go down there in the daylight, work your ass off, and come out of there, and it'd be dark. And it just felt like a special place, and it built a camaraderie for that team, and you were tight. And you work hard down there, like I said, and Mr. Riggs had a knack for putting you with the right people in wrestling. Wrestling is a sport where you've got your Matt Ratch, you got guys that are great at takedowns, you have late guys like Mitch, and if I need hip surgery in 10 years, it's going to But, you know, he took care of that, and he took care of you, and he could make you do 100 hit-ems and give you that grin right there that you see. And somehow you think everything's okay, and you're going to do it, and you might be hungry and losing weight at the time. And, it takes a special kind of guy to get you to have that kind of discipline and commitment. So, and the last team I want to talk about is the soccer team, particularly in '88. You know, from Mr. Led on to Mr. Ducharme, we had a fantastic soccer program. I don't care if I never do another bear or a monster, but we were in shape. We knew the basics. We were skilled, and those teams succeeded. I don't remember how many wins in a row we had as JVs, but it was impressive. It's all Mr. Roulette and Mr. Ducharme carried that on with very successful programs. And you know, our team in '88 was a special team. We had Bernier and Nat, we had Bolish and Wapper in the back, and Kohler and Frank, probably the best defense in the state. With Jesse in the middle, we had Blanchy and Tim Carville and Lee Hunt, my brother, and Lance Casey. I mean, we just had a great team, and we felt like we couldn't lose that year. And, I remember, I think it was Messina we were playing, don't quote me on the time, it was probably mid to late season. We had our undefeated season rolling. I think we were down 2-0, and we had a weather storm come through, and lightning. We all had to come up into the bus garage, and the team got together, and Coach Ducharme got in there with us, and there was no finger pointing. This is what we got to do. We got to score some quick goals, and that defense told us we're not letting in more goals. And we went back out there, and I think it was probably 5 to 10 minutes. We had 3 goals, and we were up. And that's how that team felt. We felt destined. We felt like we could win, and we were going to win any game. You know, it's just a special group of guys to play with. And you know, on top of that run through the state finals, the support we had from the community was unbelievable. So we had the stands full at every game we went to. We had Mr. Kohler and other family members there. Mr. Kohler, our videographer, we still got those videos, I'm sure, and if you don't, you can ask me. I've got them to make you copies. I know Tim has them. I have pictures from wrestling too. So that's you know, just an example of how special this place was in the memories you have. And, you know, Mr. Riggs mentioned I haven't been back in a long time. I haven't seen a lot of my old teammates and a lot of friends and family in quite some time. But you come back and you know you're home. And it's a place you supported and loved, and that's the beauty of this environment, the coaches and the teammates. And I'm honored. Thank you. One more thing, thank you to Claire for making this trip with me. I appreciate it.
If you haven't been to these ceremonies before, it's funny how people always mention their memories of JV soccer and Coach Willett and varsity soccer and Roger Ducharme. I mean, in winning ways, I tell kids that nowadays, you're always going to remember it. I don't care what level, you're going to remember that. John, I just heard a rumor that, and you have to explain this to me, but the rumor is your dad was so proud of you and Jeremy for getting in the Hall of Fame, he's buying you both Ford Fiestas. You have to explain what All right, you have to explain that to me down the road. Our next inductee, Jeremy Filiaccio, class of '91, actually is not here, he's in India. I thought he was going to do a Terrell Owens and Skype it, but he wasn't going to let us proof it first. So he didn't want to do that. So it's probably better. He always tells the same old jokes anyways, and we've all heard those before. So presenting for Jeremy is going to be Neil Riggs, and accepting for Jeremy is going to be his wife, Michelle.
This is a big deal. If you don't know Jeremy,
Yes, we do.
it's a big deal. If he was here, you could see what I mean. He's a one-of-a-kind person. I wish he was here to defend himself. Like Mike said, some of his jokes are bad. He'd be making fun of my pink shirt. I know he would. That's why I wore it. He's not here, so. One of many times he got in trouble at the high school. And it happened to be I was a disciplinarian kind of thing. And what he did was, I don't remember, but it was bizarre. It was like an assault against the athletic equipment we had. And I was just scratching my head. Jeremy, what do you want out of life? He looked me right in the eye and said, Coach, I want to work out of my home. Guess what he's been doing for the last 13 years? Working out of his home. He's not always wrong. One of the guys on one of the teams was talking about, yeah, he gets dressed up in his sweatpants and he walks into his office. That's Jeremy. Lost my train of thought here. The reason he's not here, he's in India, so, I mean, part of the fact that General Electric lets him work at home is great. Jeremy's, I guess he's in charge of over 200 people that he works with. He took a team of them to India at a leadership conference. What they do, I hope they're not starting World War III. You know Jeremy. I had a problem myself. I was going to Australia and New Zealand with the Kozers and I couldn't get my visa. I couldn't figure out how to do it. So I went to Jeremy and watching him on the computer was like watching magic. I mean, he's just unbelievable at that. His personality, like I said, he's one of a kind. He's kind of a contrary person. Contrary to public opinion, Jeremy has his own opinion. If you say up, he'll say down. If you say left, he'll say right. Coach Howerhand, I don't know if you're there, but he was talking about when Mr. Howerhand, Jeremy was on the mound pitching, he'd do the signals. Can you imagine being a contrary pitcher, he'd shake him off? No. Throw the fastball? No. So, I mean, that was a problem. He also believes in family, academics, athletics. His love of family, I guess you could say, drove him to create Uncle Jeremy's Winter Wonderland. If you've never been there, and I wasn't, but I saw videos and stuff. He built a luge run, which was enjoyed by many people. He also organized the Olympics where I asked Michelle how many kids were there. 120 was the most. And obviously, the games the adults played were a lot different than the games the kids played. He invented the human foosball, or he made it, I don't know if he invented it, human foosball game, which everybody had fun with. They're moving now, so I asked Michelle, does he plan on doing something now? And all the kids have outgrown it. The big question is Jeremy. He also stressed academics to his kids and loved to talk about his 4.0 at Clarkson. If you look in the program, he's got many patents that he's made. I mean, he's a very smart person. Sometimes you wouldn't know it, but he's very smart. His athletics success was also exceptional. He won numerous All-Northern Awards, soccer, wrestling, 2-time sectional champ, won many tournaments. Quick story, then I'll present the trophy to Michelle, if she'll come up here. I'm sure she will. Jeremy's wrestling team, we had 4 sectional champs in a row, from 132, Bobby Butler, 138, Jason Crosby, 145 was Mitch, 155 was Jeremy. Jeremy was the guy that I had to, he couldn't wrestle 145, it couldn't be Mitch. He still to this day says he can, but that's contrary to public opinion. I I couldn't let him go to 138 because Jason Crosby wasn't big enough to go to 155. So for the sake of the team, he wrestled 155. So long story short, he weighed probably 142, 143, so he had to eat a lot. And he won the sectionals, but I kind of feel responsible that he's still eating. Like I said in the beginning when I started, they're two of my favorite, two of the best wrestlers I've ever coached. Michelle, would you come up, please?
Oh, so as Riggsy said, Jeremy's in India for work, and he couldn't be there tonight, and he's very sad about that. So he left me in charge of accepting his Hall of Fame award. Jeremy would first like to thank his incredible, amazing, unbelievably patient wife for her endless love and support. Secondly, he would like to thank Wayne Willett, Jerry Howard for the nomination. He was very humbled that two coaches he thinks the world of thought he belonged in the Canton Athletic Hall of Fame. Thank you also to Coach Riggs for the introduction. Jeremy was sure you would do him justice. I'm sure that Jeremy would be the first to admit that for him, sports were the highlight of his high school years. He would also say that sports aren't everything, which is what he always tells our kids, but they were and still are a very important part of his life. As Mr. Riggs mentioned, Jeremy used to build several sled runs in our backyard, which required hours and hours of work with hundreds of wooden pallets and 2x4s and icing them down in tarps, and when the snow melted, it looked unbelievably horrible. So I would make him take it down every single year. We moved, so that doesn't happen anymore. He also decided it would be a great idea to have Kids Olympics in our backyard, which turned out, well, it started as, you know, our family, friends, kids coming over, and then it turned into 120 kids, team captains, team uniforms, entrance awards for best entrance coming down our driveway. I carried a torch to light the cauldron. Nearly caught on fire one year due to Chris Downs. And one year he had a suggested donation and donated the money to the Canton Booster Club. I'm not sure how much money we raised. I think it was, I don't know, Bill, do you know? $500,000?
Yeah, it was close to 1,000, yeah.
But that's Jeremy. He loves kids. He loves to see kids have fun. He loves sports. Some of the events he had at these Olympics were dodgeball, fishing derby, hula hoop death match, which was invented by Jeremy, and we borrowed the hula hoops from Mike Wentworth in the gym, and kids would pair up, and you hula hoop toward each other and try to knock the other kid's hula hoop down. If you did, you won and you went on to the next round. There were brackets, it was a whole thing. So, we both love to watch all of our kids, Cooper, Jack, and Lindsay, play soccer. We both love the fact that we were able to move back to Canton and that our kids are growing up Golden Bears. For myself, I'll try to get through this. I'm so proud that he's being inducted into the Hall of Fame. I wish he was here. Not just because of his athletic success, but because he's going to the Hall of Fame at the same time as John. John and Jeremy had the luxury of being teammates for years in soccer and in wrestling. Not only are they brothers, but they are truly best friends. So congratulations to you two, John. Thank you.